I've actually got goosebumps because the greatest risk of my life completely changed my life.
Welcome to the Small Steps, Big Wins podcast. I'm dedicated to helping you take control of your life. Together, we'll explore practical tips, expert advice, and inspiring stories to help you overcome obstacles and achieve your goals. Making small changes is possible and can lead to big results. Are you ready? Let's go do this. All right, Lucy. Well, welcome to the Small Steps, Big Wins podcast. I am beyond excited to have you here. Let's go do this. Are you ready?
I am. Thank you so much, Sue, for inviting me on to this podcast. And very excited to share with all of your viewers a little bit of the life story that I have. Yes.
Oh, I can't wait. So you have built an amazing life for yourself. You're an entrepreneur, social millionaire, realtor in Dubai, a coach, mentor, thought leader at Keller Williams Realty, and you studied at Tony Robbins Mastery University. So just taking a step back, I'm curious to know about the person you were in your younger years. Could you share some insights to early life and experiences that shaped your path towards becoming the successful entrepreneur and realtor you are today?
Of course I can. And it's quite funny because we didn't have social media in my youth. So actually nobody really knows what we did. So it's quite good in a way, but of course I'll share it. So look, I'm from the UK. I'm English and currently living in the Middle East, but I am very much a global soul. And I love to travel. I love adventure. And that is because, Sue, we were actually brought up in the South Pacific as children. So my early years, my first memories are literally on beaches in Fiji Islands. We didn't come to Europe to live and school until we were 8. So, my first memories are very much paradise. And then, had my 8 to 18 years, shall we say, in higher education in the UK because our parents wanted us to be schooled there. And then literally it was almost like the minute I could, I left again. So having been through, a very rich, varied life traveling, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. I knew I loved people. I knew I loved traveling. I was average at school, Sue. I wasn't your brightest student, but I tried really, really hard. I got my grades because I put in the work. And I was like, okay, so I'm not going to be a doctor or a lawyer. I don't know if I want to go on to uni. So what should I do? So one of the things I did do in sort of my mid-teens was to follow French and Spanish because I knew then I would be able to travel the world and be able to communicate. And I also thought in those years, and we're talking 28 years ago, so we're talking quite a long time ago. I'm nearing 50 here. So, I was like, okay, Spanish is the most spoken language in the world after English. Of course, now it's Chinese, but at the time it wasn't. And so that's why I chose Spanish to be able to travel and communicate with the world. Cut a long story short, I found myself in and out of many, many jobs. I worked in London as a trilingual PA. I traveled to Costa Rica. I lived there for a year, looking after volunteers on voluntary parks all over the country. Lived in the Caribbean as a voluntary school teacher for the islanders in my like teenage years. And I just couldn't find what I really wanted. So then I was like, okay, well, I love traveling. So I'm going to find a way to travel the world and get paid for it. So I was an international tour guide. So traveled the world, took British holidaymakers on off the beaten track, intrepid journeys, literally to all 5 continents. Sorry, 7 continents. I mean, I was sort of 2 weeks snowboarding in Canada. Then we'd be on a cruise in Brazil, and then we'd be in Mauritius, and then I'd be down on the beaches in Kenya or out in Hong Kong taking people on a trip round, China. So I did have an incredible lifestyle. Well, shall we say I didn't have an incredible lifestyle. I had an incredible experience to travel the world. However, your cat.
Yeah, for those who are watching the video, yeah, my cat walked by.
So I feel like there's a second part. I think my life is 3 parts. So my second part of my life is where I sort of, come to my late 20s and I'm like, okay, I am not earning any money. I have nothing to show for life. I've traveled the world. I've seen everything. I feel like I've lived 5 lifetimes, but I have no money and I have no life. And I've been missing all my friends' weddings and babies because I've been living out of a suitcase. So I was like, okay, I need to get real. I need to get serious. What do I do? And so this is where the second stage of my life started, which is really where, thanks to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I know you always
Mhm.
ask, what is the book that changed your life? It's definitely Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah, I think
And
everybody recommends that book. So
it's
you're not
and
alone.
I mean, and I've got it ready to give to my nephews. I'm seeing them in a few weeks. They're like
Yeah.
12 and 15, so I'm going to give it to
Mhm.
them. Just
It's a
that
game
book.
changer.
It is a game changer, and the title's so clever because I bought the book on the title only. I didn't buy it knowing it was about wealth and assets and real estate. I bought it on the title. So, read this book and I was like, "Okay, this is what I need to do. I need to own real estate." So, Sue, just to set the setting, I come from a really nice background, but my father was in one job for 40 years. My
Mhm.
mom never worked. So I had no entrepreneurial business skills, being sort of creative. There was none of that growing up. There was none of this like teaching us how to manage our money or our wealth. So, whilst I had a great upbringing, it didn't set me on the right path, shall we say, to doing it my way and being an entrepreneur and a business owner. I had no idea. So, and we've owned one property as a family our entire lives, and that's our home. We've never had other properties. So, so then I read this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So he says that these are our assets, and actually, your house and your car are your liabilities, and so it just changed it for me. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I don't know anything about real estate and I like to learn something before I'll do it. And I like to actually, experience it myself, shall we say. So I decided that I was going to get into the real estate industry and sell homes. And then I would learn how to do it. And then I would buy my own property. And that was stage two of my life. And so in those days, we didn't even really have the web. The World Wide Web was just coming in. I know I'm showing my age now. So so I was like,
It's
okay,
okay. I'm right there with you.
okay, so what's my dream? My dream is I want to live in France. So I should go and sell real estate in France because I speak French. So I found this company, called them up, the south of France in Perpignan on the Spanish French border near Barcelona, north of Barcelona. And I came down and I was basically to drive people around all these beautiful little villages and show them homes. Of course, I'd just been a tour guide for 5 years, so I could show anyone around anything because that's what I did well. So then I was on this really small salary showing people around properties, and my bosses were like earning a lot of money every time people saw the homes that I showed. And I was like, wait a minute, something's not quite right here. And so, yeah, so that was sort of happening as well. And it's funny, how did I get to the Middle East? I have to tell this story is I had one tour left to lead before I sort of hung up my coat, if you like, the rest of my life. And I do love risk. I love to go to the new and the unknown. So there was a tour leading to in the Middle East to Oman. And I'd never heard of Oman. Like literally, I was like, okay, I haven't heard of that country. I have no idea what it is. So I'm going to go. And I'm going to lead the tour there with this tour company. It was my last tour before I finished. So in the middle of my like job as an agent in France, I went to Oman for a 2-week tour, and then that really was like the next stage of my life. That changed the game because I fell in love with a local, with an Omani Muslim man. And I decided that I was leaving France and I was moving my whole life from France to Oman. So I've literally packed up from England to the south of France. I didn't know anyone. After a year, I decided, no, I'm packing up and I'm moving to Oman. So I've done that a lot in my life. Just move countries when, things look better elsewhere. So got to the Middle East too. And yeah, I've been in real estate as an agent since then, which is 18 years. Didn't know anything, worked my way, with the right people, selling, realized this was my absolute passion. I should have got into this earlier. My first couple of years in Oman, I bought a property which wasn't ready yet. So we call it off plan. So, once I'd bought my own property, it was so much easier to sell to other people. And then, from being in Oman, then opportunities started arising for me. And my old bosses came to me one evening, took me out for dinner, and they said, okay, we want to start a real estate company, which was a large franchise in the Middle East. It's called Better Homes. So I know you have a Better Homes in North America, but it's not the same one. So they said, we won't do it unless you'll join us. And we want you to run the sales team. he was going to be the CEO and his wife was going to run the rentals team. And that literally, was the next step. So suddenly I was running a sales team, I was training, helping them all. And it just was incredible. And I loved life in Oman. I genuinely think Oman has the friendliest, kindest people on the planet. And I've traveled to over
Wow.
70 countries. So, I can vouch for that. I've never met a people, maybe the Kiwis in New Zealand, who are friendly. They're just so kind. So then, for personal reasons, because the man I'd moved for, then I left for,
Doesn't that always happen
it
sometimes,
always happened.
which you think it's the grass is always greener somewhere else, but,
Yeah.
I'm thinking while you're talking, everything happens for us, not to us.
Yeah.
So that is
Yeah.
just, weaved within your story.
It is. And, I've got so many life lessons from work, personal relationships, failures. And I haven't even spoken about the financial aspect of my life because, I have so many of my close friends. I mean, I had a message yesterday on Instagram from a friend that's known me 17 years. She said, Lucy, it's incredible the change in your life because I have pretty much lived off, I don't know what you say in the US, but we call it like on the bread line, like when you really don't have much money at all to your name. I've lived like that for pretty much 15 years, but I've always managed to, move onwards, get on with it. And so it was only really when I decided to move to Dubai, and I did a year back again in the French Alps, by the way, with Sotheby's Real Estate. But then I left there too because I didn't like being in the French Alps paying a lot of tax. And, the snow had gone. I couldn't snowboard anymore. So I was like, okay, I need to move on. So, but suffice to say, happy to say, proud to say, I've actually been in Dubai, the longest country in my life. So, and I'm not moving anytime
Yeah,
soon. So I also, Sue, I sell Dubai. I sell Dubai real
right.
estate. I think the fact that I personally can say, this is the country I've lived in the longest, it proves the point to anyone. This is why Dubai. Right?
'Cause you've lived a nomadic life. I
Yeah.
mean, you have the opportunity to live anywhere you want, and you have conquered that fear. You're a big risk taker, so I think that says a lot about Dubai. It says a lot
Well, it
about the
does.
market, it says a lot
Yeah.
about who you are and that you are passionate about where you live. So I love it. I love it.
Absolutely. I love that you say that, Sue. It is about that, because we weren't born to live in the country we were born in. And most of us make that mistake because we don't know anything different, right? But fortunately, I only knew that living in a different country, that was the norm for me.
Mm.
So that means that now I've been in Dubai for 11 years and I'm so settled here. I've just bought another property a couple of months ago and, I don't actually see another country that could tick every box. And I'm a very global person. So, in
Right.
terms of, I know where the best beaches are in the world. I know where the best banking facilities are. I know where the best, like shopping is and sites and et cetera, and where it's easiest to do business. I've experienced all that. I've lived in Latin America and Australasia and Europe and the Middle East, and there isn't anywhere that beats Dubai, and so there I am, 11 years on.
Oh, love it. Your story is just so inspiring to me because, you didn't let your upbringing and your background determine your future. That's what I love about your story. And then not only that, you have leveraged all of your different experiences that you've had from leading tour guides and being bilingual, living in all different areas to bring you to where you are today and how that's shaped and molded you. I love it. I love your story in that. So, to talk a little bit more about living in Dubai, what have you found surprising or challenging about being there?
Well, okay, obviously you're in the Middle East, so we're in a Muslim
Right.
country, but don't forget I was in Oman for 6 years before here. So in total, I've
Okay.
been in the region for 17 years, right? That's the
Okay.
Gulf. So I've been in a Muslim region for 17 years. So over the years, I have seen huge changes. I mean, when I first arrived in the Middle East, you could not eat and drink during Ramadan anywhere. Like if I wanted lunch and I was on a viewing in Oman, I would literally have to duck under the seat to sip water so no one could see me. Like you had to hide. And then you like cover up like if there was a little like canteen area in the office, as long as there were no Muslims in the office, you would all cover up the canteen and you'd be eating in the back in a cupboard in secret. So that's not like it is now today. So that's what I mean. Everything's evolved here. So although you're in this type of, region, now I can be walking through the mall with a cup of coffee from Starbucks in Ramadan. What a change.
That's
And it
awesome. And that's the point really actually to anywhere that you live. If you live there long enough, you will see it evolve over time. Good,
Right.
bad, or indifferent. It's
Yeah.
just having that longevity of wherever it is that you are. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Was
Um,
there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, sure. So, what are the differences here? So, here there is no crime. So you don't see any violence. You don't feel threatened. I feel completely safe on the streets. So, I can walk around a park at night. I can go jogging. I'm never looking over my shoulder. I am never worried, even just passing two or three guys together. In other countries, in my own, in England, I would be like, oh, is that a gang? Oh, are they going to
Mhm.
run at me and like hold me and grab my money or something? I wouldn't even think about that now. I do think about it because I have traveled through Latin America where, I've been all through Central America. I've hitchhiked through El Salvador, Mexico, Nicaragua, Honduras, and I know what safety is all about. So I am aware. But you don't need to be worried here. It's just incredible. Imagine. And there's no homeless anywhere on the streets. There's no one allowed to be drinking alcohol outside of any, hotels or buildings. And you're only allowed to drink alcohol in hotel bars, which obviously there's so many, so it's pretty much everywhere. And you can drink at home in, people's houses and gardens. So that's not an issue. But yeah, everything's clean here. There's no rubbish or litter anywhere. And it's because we have a large workforce that sorry, just it's thirsty here. Talking away. By the way, it's like 46 degrees Celsius outside right now. What's that in Fahrenheit? 110 at least?
Oh my gosh.
Or 112. So I've got the AC on and I do need to just keep drinking water.
Do you find the weather's okay though? Well, you mentioned snowboarding. So it's 110 degrees there. I don't think snowboarding's happening right now. Does the
Well,
weather change or do you
funny.
have to outsource yourself to go find
Yeah.
snowboarding?
No, well, you're gonna laugh now, actually. So because Dubai is like, everything is better and bigger in Dubai, we've taken over Texas here. So we have a ski slope in a mall. I'm not joking. And so I can go snowboarding tonight if I wanted, and it is freezing cold. You have to wear your full ski stuff. They even have penguins in there. They even have a lift going up with a little après ski cafe halfway up the slope. Now, there's no alcohol because you're not allowed alcohol in that little bar. But can you
Right.
imagine you're going up a
Yeah.
inside a mall in 46 degrees Celsius?
Oh, that's awesome. That's like
Yeah.
going to Great Wolf Lodge, the indoor water parks that we have here in the States.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that as well, but
Yeah.
I would think that's probably 5, 6 times the size. Oh my gosh, I'm ready to move to Dubai.
Yes, you should come soon. Must come. Yeah.
I am so ready to go. I mean, your enthusiasm is unrestrained. Like you just can't
Oh.
contain it. I mean, it's beautiful. I love it. And you talked about being a risk taker and that you liked it. So you described you took risks. So can you describe a risk that you took in your career? Maybe it was a real big one and how that paid off. What lessons did you learn from that?
I've actually got goosebumps because the greatest risk of my life completely changed my life. So, and that's actually how I'm connected with all of you and the USA. So, 8 years ago, I was called out of the blue from a Facebook Live video. Now, we've got to put this into context. So, we're talking 2015 when people are not really that onto Facebook and nobody's doing video and nobody's doing live videos. So, I
Mhm.
started doing live videos because Sue, I need to take everyone back a year because it's really important. This is one of the core, subjects for me to talk about here with you and the audience is, in 2014 in Dubai, the real estate market had gone really down. It had gone down so much, the extent that I was not earning any money. And in a real estate job here, there is no salary at all. It's completely commission, right? And I don't have a partner or a husband. So there's no salary that's, my safety net. There was nothing. So if I didn't sell a home, I wasn't eating and paying my rent that night. The other thing to put into context in this part of the world is you do not go into overdraft because the bank can lock your account and then you're literally stuck. And you haven't got family. you haven't got social services. I'm not Emirati. I'm not from this country. If I was in England, I could go on the dole and get money from social services, but I'm not local, right? So you cannot go into the red. And you're aware of that. Things are easier now, but I'm just telling you at the time, okay? So
Mhm.
I'm there thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? And I trained actually. I was just in our Saudi Arabia office this weekend, and I trained them, and I shared this story that there I am. I've been selling real estate in Dubai for 3 years, doing okay. The market stops. I make no money. I have to leave my house, as in I had to pack all my clothes and my belongings to get out of my apartment that I was renting on
Oh,
the Palm Jumeirah because I had no money. And I went from like a 2,000 square foot property. Do you do square feet in the US, or is it?
yes, yes.
Okay.
Nope, that's a pretty good size.
Yeah, so I was in a 2,000 square foot property on my own, beautiful sea views on the Palm Jumeirah, really glam, right? And then I went into a studio for another 2 years, and the studio was 400 square foot in size, right? I
That's
had
a
to sell my
20 by 20 room, just to put that into perspective for people. That is a 20-foot by 20-foot room. Wow.
It's not even a hotel room, and I and
Yeah.
and the thing is, it's not as if, I just it's bad enough having to do that, okay? But then I'm also still out there meeting people with quite a lot of money to sell them real estate, not showing that actually I'm going home to this awful studio. So that was really tough. I mean, I still had nice clothes and my nice bags, but still that's embarrassing, right? So I've got my nice bag and my shoes, and I'm going back to basically a cupboard. So that was really embarrassing and humiliating, but it also pushed me out of my comfort zone. And I used to sit there at home feeling down, like, this can't be my life, Lucy. And I was like, I have to do something different because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. I'm not going to keep doing the same thing. So what I did was I was like, okay, nobody's out there doing videos. I love presenting. I'd wanted to be a TV presenter when I was younger. So I'd already done quite a few like videos and reels. And I was like, right, I'm doing it. I'm just going to present, like what's Dubai or what's on the Palm Jumeirah. Just do videos, like be different, stand out from my competition. And sure enough, who should see me on a video but Keller Williams Real Estate? Okay. And they were just coming, they were just starting to come to Dubai. So it was the CEO himself who'd come from New York. And he said, oh, I noticed a live video of yours. And we must meet. I would love you to join KW. And I was like, no, 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 I'm happy where I am. I don't need to, I was being all proud, even though deep down I definitely needed a change, right? Because, you want to say no to start with, it'd be difficult. So anyway, so he kept on calling. I mean, it was ridiculous. He called about 6 months. I was like, my goodness, this guy does not let up. Okay, so I'll go and meet him. He introduced me to Keller Williams Real Estate. He introduced me to the concept of being a business owner. He introduced me to the fact that we get training and we're going to actually improve our own lives. And I was like, I've got to do this. And so, I sat with him and I was like, okay, I'm good to go. Let's do it. But then at that point, he said, well, I actually don't want you to come and be an agent. I actually want you to run it. I want you to be the leader, the team leader. And I was like, whoa. I'd never been as in, running a company or a business or training people. I mean, I trained sales teams, but not big teams. So this is the biggest risk of my life, Sue, because I was told, you're not going to be able to sell anymore. You are coming to run Keller Williams and you're going to recruit, you're going to interview, and you're going to train agents, and you're going to turn the city round and bring them the KW brand. And that's what I
What?
did.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
y How did that make you feel? I mean, that's a loaded question.
Well, I was very scared. I was very scared. Of course I was scared, but I wasn't gonna show people I was scared. But I went home to this pit of a studio. Imagine, I'm going home to this studio, frustrated that there's not really a lot of sales happening. And I said to myself, Lucy, you don't know what you're doing, but you're gonna say yes and you're gonna work it out because there's no choice. You're gonna do it. And I did. I
You
had
had
to.
nothing to lose.
I had nothing to lose and I could try it and it wouldn't work, but what happens if it worked? And it did, I was doing it for 2.5 years, absolutely loved it. And actually, so this is where my story really intertwines with how, I get into to Go Abundance and this group and community. So my first day in Keller Williams, my boss took me to Austin, Texas, to the home of Keller Williams for the mega camp in August of 2015. And because I was part of the South African and Dubai kind of group of leadership, so who should have us over to his house for a cocktail party? David Osborne.
David Osborne.
And yeah, David like completely changed the game for me in a whole different
Awesome.
way. I mean, honestly, as if Keller Williams wasn't enough. Then I had a chat with David and he showed me all of his boards and his office upstairs, and he had the 8 gardens, and he had all of his properties that he owned and his rental. And I was just like, I was like, are you for real?" And I didn't know who David was. I mean, David's a lovely guy, very shrewd businessman. I had no idea who David really was at that stage.
Mhm.
So chatting away, going, are you for real? Can you help me? Can you show me what to do?"
I wanna do that too. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I didn't know who
Yeah,
David was either until I joined Emerge, and then I met David in Austin when I was there in April, and yeah, he's an amazing man. I mean, it's just
yeah,
mind-blowing to see where he was, what he built, where he is now. Very inspiring. And
yeah,
you talk about the vision boards. So what was your thought when you saw his vision board? Because in our space, we talk about our vision and going
yeah.
out there, what life is going to look like for you in 5 years. Capture that moment when you were in his office and you saw this vision board. What was going through your mind at that point?
Well, I mean, I'd obviously chatted to David at this stage for a couple of hours, right? So I'd obviously
Okay.
liked his story, his kind of rags to riches story, if you like. And, I was in awe, like totally inspirational. I've written down a million times that there is one man in my life who I want as my mentor. It's David. So, David, if you're watching, you already know. So, but anyway, and also just to add to this, David is half English and he's from under 1 mile from my hometown in England.
Oh
So
my goodness. What a small world.
well, so can you imagine? So there was just too coincidental, everything about everything. And then he was a team leader with Keller Williams, and his mother was British, and they lived like 3/4 of a mile from my house. And his old school as a child, I walked past every day with the dog, like for 10 years. So it was just a crazy coincidence. Anyway, so we're looking at his vision boards. And now I know that he's, really, really grown in his success. And I just remember thinking to myself, wow, success is on purpose. There's nothing
Mhm.
like it's not laxicum, do this or do that. Like he's really organized. Everything is done on purpose. And then I since have obviously learned a lot of that through my training from Keller Williams as well, be purposeful. But at that stage I hadn't because it was still day one. And that made me realize I've just been with the wrong people. I've been hanging out with the wrong people. I've been learning from the wrong people. I don't mean my family or my best friends, but just no one that has actually been teaching me my entire life has taught me this. And I've been missing out. And I really felt like I'd been missing out. And at this stage, I'm in like, my almost mid-30s. And I'm like, this is unfair. And so I remember thinking, and I don't anymore think about because everything happens for a reason, right? But I remember thinking at the time, it is so unfair that this has come into my life at this age. If it had come into my life when I was 15, I would be in such a different place. I know I would because that's who I am. I push myself, I'm motivated, but nobody had ever motivated me to do the kind of things that, will change our lives. So, yeah, very frustrated at the time.
But you know what I love about that story, and you said all things happen for a reason, is that stuff happened to you at 35, and you were like, "Oh, this is why didn't this happen when I was 15?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have to wonder that if it happened to you at 15, maybe you might not have received it the way you received it at 35. And the other thing about your story that's awesome is that it happened at 35. You can craft, develop, and change the trajectory of your life at any age.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is not bounded by, oh, well, I'm not going to achieve this because I didn't start in my 20s. It's
Mm.
okay, I'm picking up where I am right here, and now I have a vision and I'm going to go forward. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
want I want to pull that out of your story, and I hope it encourages somebody else. I know I find it encouraging
Yeah.
as well. So one of the things you describe yourself as is a thought leader. So, what topics or ideas do you feel passionate about sharing with others? And how do you strive to make a lasting impact through your leadership?
So I think what's really, really important is how I live my life every day. So I don't want to make this all like depressing for a minute, but a very, very close friend of mine very tragically died of mad cow disease about, what was it, when we were 30, so 18 years ago. And I remember when that happened, he was a super intelligent guy. He would, like, climbed all the mountains of the world. He was working in Shell in Houston, and he was way beyond his years. I mean, everyone else was 10, 12 years senior, and he was there. British friend, super intelligent, top geologist in the UK, my friend. And he died tragically, and I watched him die because it was a bit like Alzheimer's. They die, their brain dies
Mhm.
over like 9, 12 months. It's the saddest disease. I mean, really, really so tragic. And, so I saw him go to nothing in a hospital bed, and I told myself at that point, I was like, I will live every day of my life as if it were my last, because Jeremy couldn't. And, sometimes, and I feel it now, and I'm just like, he had so much more life to live. And I want to make sure that I am living that life, the life he couldn't live. But also for everybody watching here as well, Sue, we get so embroiled in silly little, like, everyday things, and oh, we got to do this and we got to do that. Or life becomes so mundane and we forget the bigger picture. We could be gone in a year. We could be gone in 3 weeks. Look what happened in
Mhm.
COVID. We all got stuck. I think COVID was so healthy for us in a way, because it really just put the gas up us, if you like, and made us think we've got to go out there and do it. We've got to go travel the world. We've got to go, say those things we mean to our loved ones, or go and experience more time with your children, or go and take that dream job, or give up that job. It's not what you want. It's not what you're meant for. So that has definitely, I think that's something that I breathe and I live, and I'm sure you probably see that, through what I do every day. I Nothing stops me from doing what I want to do, because it could all be over tomorrow. That's one thing. The other part of, you asked me about a thought leader. I always like to think out of the box. I always like to think, for example, there's 100,000 real estate agents in Dubai today, which is insane. I mean, Dubai is a population of 3 million people. 100,000 agents. It's
Wow.
ridiculous, right? We were 20,000 agents 6 years ago. So everybody's just arrived and become a real estate agent. So the thing is, what I like to do anyway is always think out of the box. How can I be different and stand out from all of my competition? Okay, because competition is really important. And I work with a lot of my colleagues as well. Don't get me wrong, but you've got to be different. It's like business owners. How can your business be different? How can you do marketing that's different from the same business as yours 2 doors down the street? And I think a lot of us get so like, okay, this is what I should do. I'm a real estate agent. I need to put my properties online and I'll wait for a phone call. I absolutely don't do that. It's like, right, what can I do that's different? What will my client be thinking? I like to get in the head of my client. I like to get in the head of my audience, and what will they be thinking? What do they want to know? What are their burning questions? And let me answer them. Let me solve their problems. So that's definitely what I always think about. And then the third thing is I'm definitely a visionary. I'm definitely a future, what do we say? A futuristic thought
Mhm.
leader. So I'm
Mhm.
I'm always looking, like, what's AI going to do for my industry? What's AI going to do for me and my business? Where are we going to be at in 2 or 3 years, or 2 or 3 months? And how has it already changed in the last 6 months? So, stepping right back from the daily, and grasping what's changed about my business and how can I change it again. So it's always ahead, it's always different, it's always unique. So I think those are my areas in terms of perhaps business and life. And I think my last one, I mean, there's so many, but the one that count is that there's so many people with so little compared to us, so little. And we all have our different passions, and what we care for most for. And for me, it's very much children. And so I'm always aware that as I've backpacked and traveled the world, I have seen, I've seen children in such awful poverty. I mean, it breaks your heart. So I always vowed that, when I earned good money and I was able to, I would give back. And I have now started doing that. And, a lot of that is thanks to being in the Go Abundance tribe, where we look at our gardens and we're very focused and purposeful about contributing and giving to others. And I feel really, really grateful that I can be at a stage in my life now where I can give. I mean, I should have given when I had nothing and I didn't because I just didn't have the people around me. People weren't really doing that. But now I'm around, I get it. And it feels amazing to be able to help and give back. So, it's always about who can you help that is not as well off as you, who is out there suffering that you can help, and that's also what's always on my mind.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love it. It's who you're
Sweetheart.
around really propels you where you're
Yeah.
gonna go, and
Yeah.
that is a common thread in your story. To switch gears a little bit, in today's fast-paced you have a very full life, so maintaining work-life balance, is that challenging for you? Or, what do you do to prioritize your self-care and to make sure, that you maintain personal well-being because you have many roles and many responsibilities?
Yeah, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I love to, I work and I play. So I love to travel. And when I travel, for me, chilling on a beach or at a pool is nice, or doing some water sports. I'll definitely book myself into a spa or a salon. And, even just for me, like, I love flying. I love flying. I could fly all day. And I like a nice book or to watch a film. So, that's time out. And then, but I am purposeful. Like on a Sunday night before the week starts, I will always look at my week ahead and I know what I'm doing in terms of my space. When am I going to play golf? When am I going to the gym? When am I going to meet my friends? Have I put in a meeting for this person or that person, etc. So that's always in the diary at the beginning of the week. So I am purposeful about that. And of course, holidays and trips, that's in the diary very quickly.
Do you find it hard, though, to take that time for yourself?
Yeah, I do because of the nature of our business. I mean, real estate now is literally 24 hours a day because my clients are coming from every corner of the globe. People that are buying real estate in Dubai are not already in Dubai now. They're from you. They're from North America. They're in England, or they're in Germany, or they're in, Malaysia or Hong Kong. So they're on every time zone. And, we've all got our telephones. So, just like that, people are on my YouTube channel and they WhatsApp me immediately and say, Lucy, I just saw your YouTube video. I'm really interested in that house to buy. So I literally just have to be focused and say to myself, okay, 9:30 at night, which is 9:30 my time, which for you in the US, you're like, well, why isn't she answering me? I just woke up. That
Yeah.
agent's useless. She's not answering me. And it's like, well, it's nearly my bedtime. So it's tough. It's not
Yeah.
easy, but I'm
You
very
for
fast at getting back and letting people know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard in the global society that we live in now. You forget that, like us right now, we're chatting and
Yeah.
you are halfway across the globe. And for both of us, because we're in, pretty much the same age range, go back to when we were 20 or
Yeah.
25. You never, ever would have imagined that you'd be able to chat live with somebody on the other side of the world.
I actually, Sue, that's another thing that, those people watching this who are just starting out on their journey, my goodness, you are so lucky. You are so very lucky because you have everything at the tip of your fingers now. You've
Yeah.
literally got online businesses, social media, you've got chat GPT, you can learn everything, you can write everything, you can write reports. You can make money from online within minutes. We never had that.
Right.
We never had
Right.
any of that. We had to go door knocking for business, or we had to print out leaflets, and it cost a lot of money. So, we spent a lot more time and money than anyone of this generation, in their early 20s, now 30s, starting out in business. So, I think they're very, very lucky. You
Yeah.
know,
What do you think the downside is to having all that information right in front of us at the tip of our fingertips versus what we experienced when we were in our 20s or 30s and didn't have that available to us?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, that's a good question. And well, unfortunately, everybody wants to be successful overnight. Everybody's impatient. I mean, it took me 18 years to be earning the kind of money which I wanted to earn 18 years ago. So I'm just earning it in the last 2 years, but it's taken me 18 years, 16 years to get there. That's pretty slow. And I wish that, so people watch and they're in their 20s going, well, if she can do it, I'm going to do it in a day. And I would love them to. And good luck to those people that do it, but it's not overnight. So in terms of, those those people that have all these options and choices, whilst I say you're very lucky, I would say also, Sue, that, you have probably, I think you would probably feel a lot of, like, fear of missing out. Oh, but that so and so's doing this and I'm not, or oh, they've got 6 businesses, I've only got 1 business, or they bought 18 houses and I've only got 1 house. So because you're constantly comparing yourselves to others online, we never had that. So we had
Right.
more focus. It was darker. It was like, there was no noise as such. There was no like social media for me to see what my friends were all doing. So yeah, there's pros and cons to all generations, I guess, right?
Yeah, you're right, you're right, and
Yeah.
that's there's so much stuff out there now. I A lot of us, and myself included, can fall into analysis paralysis. It's like, "Oh, there's all these choices I have in front of me, and now I can't make a decision." And the other thing that you mentioned was that comparing yourself to others. We really should just compare ourselves to who we were a year ago or who we were 10 years ago and
Yeah.
look at how far we've come. Or if you're brutally honest with yourself and say, well, I really didn't get that far. Why? Let me go figure out how I can get to where I need to be
Yeah.
and do that. And also, I 100% agree that we have this microwave culture where we want something overnight and you want it to happen really fast. And sometimes it does, that's a one in a million. Sometimes somebody does, you put that video out there and it goes viral and you're an
Yeah.
overnight success, but
Yeah.
that's not the norm. Every entrepreneur that I've had the privilege to talk to, it took them 10 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Too right.
we
Yeah.
overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 5.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually going to joke and say that the generation of today will be, saying the same as us about like AI and, chat GPT is just the very beginning. It's the baby, right? It'll be something much more advanced. But can you imagine, like in 3, 5 years, there's going to be so many jobs and roles that will be obsolete, but there'll be 100 more jobs that will be new and opportunities.
Created.
So, yeah,
Yeah, that's a really good point. As someone who achieved, in my view anyway, remarkable success, what advice would you give to people who might feel discouraged or overwhelmed in the pursuit of their goals and dreams?
well, do you know, it's funny because a lot of people come and they ask me, what should I do? Should I follow this path or what should I study? I am such a great believer in doing what you love, right? So I love travel and I love meeting new people. So in real estate, I can do that. I never said to myself, I'm going to sell houses, but I found a career that involves what I love. So it might be something you don't even think about. So, maybe get a pen and paper out and write down, what do I really love? What does everyone say that they can see me doing? Or what am I a natural at? And also, Sue, what are people's natural abilities and skills? I love to present. I love to speak in public. I love to motivate and inspire others. And, so I just kind of, it ticks the boxes. And then real estate, well, I'm passionate about helping people on their wealth journey because I didn't have that. So that's another reason why real estate, because, through Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I was like, okay, well, now I'm selling it, but I'm actually advising others and it will change the trajectory of their life by owning these assets. So it's
Mhm.
like I put everything together that I'm passionate about, that I love, that I truly believe in. And when you do something because you love it, it's not a job anymore. I don't feel like I'm
Right.
at work. I really don't.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. To have something where your job feels like a vacation,
Yeah.
that's, that's just it. As we're getting ready to wrap up, and we could talk for a long time. So, but
Yeah.
what are 1 or 2 small steps that you took that you didn't think were going to have the big results that shaped who you are?
Well, I'll say one really obvious one. That is definitely my YouTube channel. Okay. So for any of you out there thinking, should I do a YouTube? Just literally sign up today. I'll tell you why. Firstly, it's free. You do not pay any money to have a YouTube channel. Even if you can't do it, get someone to do it. I am not a tech expert, so somebody did it for me. But what I did, Sue, was I put videos on YouTube consistently, like just 1 or 2 a week over 4 years, and I didn't give up. And the first 2 years, I'm not joking, I probably had a maximum of 200 views. And that's it for 2 years. But then suddenly, it's like the compound effect, it just slowly, 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 slowly increases. and it just gathers pace and speed. And, all of my business every single day, I don't need to go and find business. It finds me on my YouTube channel because those videos are there forever, right? So they're stored online when you do a Google search for buying in real estate in Dubai. Even if you come across a video of mine from 3 years ago, it's there forever. It's a lifetime library and it's free. So it doesn't cost me any money, and people are coming to you because when they search on Google, the videos will come up first on SEO. So it honestly, YouTube for any business, everybody should be doing YouTube. That's definitely one of my tips. So small steps. I never thought it would, grow to what it is today. And by the way, just a little tip as well. If you look on my YouTube channel, it doesn't look like it's got a lot of subscribers, but the return on it is massive because I get
Mhm.
really good quality leads on it every day. So it's earning me good income on the return of the videos. In terms of other small steps, it's definitely having habits, like I work out every day, and I know what time I want to start work in the morning, and I do my 4 hours. So that's really important, getting into habits. And then thirdly, I would definitely say is always making a point of meeting new people every single day.
Mm.
Honestly, because just meeting new people every day can change your life. You don't know who you're going to meet, for any part of your life, business, personal, health, family, friends. So I love, and again, that's perfect in real estate because I do literally meet new people every day from every country. So yeah, those are some of the small steps that have led to huge changes.
I love it. As I wrap up my interviews, I ask the same 3 questions.
Okay.
So the first one's the easy one. What book would you recommend and everyone should read, and how it affected you? And I think we've already touched on that.
Yeah, Rich Dad
Let's
Poor Dad. There is one other book, and I just love it for the language. And if you want someone to like just kick you into a different like mentality, get this book, and that is Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. I love it.
mm,
Some people you either love or hate Grant Cardone, but quite frankly, this book, the way it's written, it was like it's every single sentence. I stopped looking at the book and I'm like, oh my God, that's so true. Yes, that's so true. Yes, that's so true. So definitely read that book. Amazing book. Yeah.
got it. All right. All right. Perfect. And the second one is, what is one question that you wish I would have asked, and how would you have answered it? Or what's one topic that you wish I would have covered, and how would you have expanded on it?
I don't know. That's a strange one. One topic you wish I'd have, well, maybe what is my dream in life? I don't know. So that could be a
Sure.
question. Yeah. So what is my dream in life? My dream in life is I want to have traveled to every country on the planet. That's one of them. I want to meet my soulmate and have children and be able to work online. And my third dream is I wanted to have an orphanage in every country of the world, but I do realize that's not so realistic so much now anymore. So I changed that to I would like to be running and involved with an orphanage, at least in every continent, and to really help children that have no opportunity to change the game for their lives. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. And you know what I love about that too is that you allowed yourself to change it. And I think that's really important to point out, because sometimes we can get so locked in
I
on
mean,
what we think our 5 years should look like, and we don't give ourselves permission to, as I said, course correct or change it or tweak it a little bit to make it, attainable. It doesn't sound attainable, but attainable at the same time, if that
yeah.
makes sense.
I know I'm
So
always trained. Things don't work. I just change. No problem. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, from your story, what's something that my listeners can do today that will help them change their tomorrow? What advice do you want to leave us with?
I would literally get everybody to, as I said earlier, get a pen and paper out and write down what you genuinely love. What do you love in life? Like it might be electronics, it might be cars, it might be the ocean, it might be maths. But you'll have a passion. It'll come instant. Like, or if I were to ask your best friend, they would know, right? And the thing is, you should be working in some way connected to your passion and your love. Because I truly believe that's when it's no longer work, and that's also a reason why you get out of bed in the morning because you love what you do.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I have a ton of other questions for you,
Aw.
Personally, I think you just need to come back on the podcast, and we're just gonna do part 2 when you're available to do that at another time. So, as
Thank
we
you.
close as we close, how do you want people to reach out to you, or what's the easiest? You mentioned YouTube, so you're on YouTube. Is there any other way?
Yeah, so outside of North America, we actually use WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is free, you don't have to pay for it. And it just means that you are messaging for free because once you're outside of the US, you actually pay to message people, right? But if you
Mm,
use WhatsApp, it's free. So you can contact me on WhatsApp. It comes to my phone within seconds and it's right there. I don't check emails every day. I mean, I'm on Instagram, so it's Lucy J. Parker underscore. My YouTube channel is Lucy J. Parker. But my WhatsApp is +971, my country code, and then 5857111070. And you can just WhatsApp me, say who you are. You watch me here with Sue and let's get chatting. Yep.
wonderful. Thank you so much. Lucy, I've been blessed today, so I just made an instant friend. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you very soon in person.
Yes, that's right. That's gonna be right around the corner in September. I can't wait too. So, thanks again.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.